This is what's wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Derek Orr. Hey, I'm back up at the Fish and Game Region 2 office in New Hampshire with Henry Jones, the moose biologist. Henry, how'd the moose fare this winter, and any sense of what's happening with ticks in our moose? It all depends on the winter. We know snow in November and snow in April is important. So, how did the moose in New Hampshire fare this winter, and what can we expect?
Yeah, so for moose in New Hampshire, in areas where you have moderate or higher moose density, we suspect or estimate that winter tick impact was high this year.
Ooh, another high one.
Yep, and so really, if you think back to last fall, it was quite warm right up through into
Oh, yeah.
December.
Yep.
And so what that did was that gave winter ticks a long time to get on moose. And so in areas where you have enough moose to support a
So with the lack of
winter
snow,
ticks, the lack of snow and the warm temperatures resulted in winter ticks having essentially they start questing September 1. They had all the way into December, so that resulted in a long winter window
not good.
for winter
Not
ticks
good.
to get on moose. And so what we estimate was moderate to high winter tick impact in those areas, and we are hearing about similar impact or substantial impact in parts of Maine where they do have collared moose.
Okay.
Yep.
Huh. So the moose drawings coming up here in June. How many permits will be issued this year? Same as last? Yeah, it's every other year you do the rules, and nothing's changed, right?
Correct. Nothing's changed, so it'll be approximately 40 moose permits, 40 to 42 moose permits statewide.
Okay.
And that the moose lottery closes in late May, and the application window closes in late May, and the winners will be announced on June 17th.
June 17th.
Friday, June 17th. Yep.
Now, how many, I know years ago when there were many more permits issued, like 750 back around 2000, as I recall, and probably had 15 or 20,000 people applying. What do you got now?
Yeah, it's about 7 or 8,000.
Okay, all right. And you expect a take of around, same as last year,
Yeah,
30 to 40 moose, somewhere in that vicinity?
yeah, somewhere 25 to 35 moose.
Okay.
Probably 25 to 30 would be typical with what we've seen for success rates in the recent past.
Now, what's happening? You mentioned a little bit about Maine, but Maine and Vermont were both trying to reduce their moose numbers in certain areas to reduce the density of moose. Therefore, hopefully, the tick impact is. Any sense of what's going on in either of those states?
Yeah. So in Vermont, last year, hunting season of 2021, they issued 100 moose permits in their E1 and E2 units. So that's in the Northeast Kingdom.
Okay.
That's the only part of Vermont where there was moose hunting. And that is an effort to keep the moose density at approximately 1 moose per square mile. And that's a relative abundance. It's a measure of, it's a relative measure. It's not an exact measure. So, that practice has been, recently implemented, and it takes time to
Right.
result in change in the moose population. So, it's unknown, what the influence of that is yet. And the outcome, that initial outcome that would be similar in Maine. And so what Maine is doing is they have established an adaptive unit in their wildlife management district 4, which is the area north of Moosehead Lake,
Okay.
up towards the Quebec border.
Yep.
And so what they did was they took that management district, which is it's approximately, I think it's it's approximately the size of like all of northern New Hampshire north of the
Okay.
Whites. And what they did was they split that unit in half, and in half of that unit they are trying to substantially reduce their moose density through hunting,
Yep.
and in the other half they're leaving it the same. And in the entire unit, or the entire district, I should say, they have collared calves to understand winter tick impact. So, and this is an adaptive unit. So Maine is doing this for 5 years, and they're going to monitor the results and then see, what happens.
All right. See how
Yep.
whether it's will help the moose or not.
Yes, and whether it will influence the moose population or not,
All right,
and
all right.
and
So it's
so
just too early to
yes,
speculate what actually the results will be.
yes.
Just too early. So New Hampshire still has good numbers of moose. What do you have an estimate of the population right now?
Yeah, approximately 3,500.
Okay.
And so last year we saw some continued slight decline in the moose population. Generally stable in northern New Hampshire last year, and then other parts in central and southern New Hampshire had some decline. But it's just, gradual.
So
And
now the state's still open all over, right? There was a couple of years, some were closed. Are there any closed areas this year? I can't remember.
so permit issuance in 2021 was suspended in the central region.
Okay.
So that is just south of the White Mountains
All
to
right.
just north of Concord, and
Yeah, I
also
forgot that. Yeah.
the southwest region,
Okay.
over in the Keene area.
Okay.
So permit issuance was suspended there in 2021, and it will be suspended there again in
Okay.
2022.
All right. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah.
Yep. So, and that is because the moose density fell below
The goals.
a cutoff level in that area, and that cutoff level was put in place in the 2016 Big Game Management Plan.
Which is a 10-year plan, right?
Yes, so it goes 2016 to 2025, and that was
So
put
we're-
in due to public input in the
Yep. Yep.
planning
Okay.
process.
Nice. All right. So we got a season coming up, coming October.
Yeah.
No big change from the last year. We're going to expect some reasonable success rates, similar, and a tough winter on our moose apparently. So that's not good. But climate change is occurring and it's impacting our moose. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, so winter itself wasn't tough on moose. It's just that the winter tick, the late onset of winter resulted in a lot of winter ticks, and so that resulted in mortality of calf moose in March and April. And also, you're going to see adult cows that are in poorer condition and having fewer calves, so they're not going to be producing as many this year. So.
Historically, the older females, 3+ produce twins, but that doesn't seem to happen as much anymore, right?
Right, so in a healthy moose population, you should see 20 to 25% of your adult cows producing twins. Twinning rates are less than 5% in
Wow.
New Hampshire. They're close, and in research moose, which were radio marked, they were essentially 0%. There was So
Wow, that's terrible.
so yeah, it really just goes, that is the real impact of winter ticks on the real long-term influential impact of winter ticks on the
There's
population.
lack of production.
It's that lack of production.
Wow,
yes.
wow.
Or suppressed production is kind of how we
All
talk
right, all
about
right.
it. So, yep.
All right, Henry, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate getting the scoop on what's happening with moose in New Hampshire. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.